Hello everybody, welcome back to Butcher That Model. This is the kit we're going to be working on, and what we'll do today is we'll go through what you're going to get in the box and discuss how we're going to do things. So, like we said at the start, you're going to get your paintbrush, your glue and the paints. On the back of the box, this is your painting guide on the Airfix kits, on these starter sets. So corresponding numbers are what we call the decals or decals, depending on whereabouts in the world you live. Basically what they are is a water slide transfer. Okay, we'll go into how you work with those in future episodes when we get to that part. I chose this kit because it's quite personal to me. It was one of the first two kits I built. I can't remember which way around I built them. I got them for my 12th birthday. I got the Strike Master version of this and a plane called the Lysander, and I can't honestly remember which one I built first. This is made by Airfix and it's a new tool. The way to check is a good indication that it's a new tooled Airfix kit is, as you see, a little blue sign there. Let's get the pointy stick the right way around. It says Cartograph. Now, Cartograph is a company that make the decals, the water slide transfers. They're probably one of the best in the world at doing the decals. So it's a good indication. It's not going to be a bad kit to build. Now, back in the day, engineering wasn't fantastic. I'm going back to the 70s. Okay, now when you look in the kit, let's get it up and get the stuff out and see what we're looking at. When we open the kit, you're going to get, let's put that down there for a minute, we're going to get a big bag of bits on what we call the sprue or the runner, depending on where the world you live. You're going to get your instructions, and in the instructions there'll be, be careful with these. These are the water slide decals. Now you want to put these somewhere very safe and very dry, because if they get wet, even slightly damp, and you don't know it, even the sweat from your fingers can ruin these. Okay, so you've got to be very careful with these. You do get a little tiny piece of protective paper that normally has a bit of sellotape on. So what you want to do is you want to find somewhere nice and safe to put these for now. Okay, I usually put them back inside the box and leave them until they're needed. Okay, so that's a good practice. Always remember, keep these somewhere safe. Don't do what I do and put them somewhere safe, not decals but other things. I put them somewhere safe and then forget where I put them, and then find them out 6 months later. I thought, what's that doing in there? I think we all do it. When you get to a certain age, you'll do it. Your dad does it all the time. He'll put the keys down somewhere and then, oh, my keys. I'll put them in a safe place. Put them in a safe place. So let's stick them back in the box for now, because we're not going to lose these for a few episodes yet. And let's have a look at what's in the bag. Right, so let's get the stabby thing. Remember what I said to you, always cut away from your body, right, if you can. So let's put that in the sticker bin. Open the bag and see what we got. Now with these sort of kits you get two bags. One's got the clear parts in. These are also very easy to damage and scratch and ruin. The best thing to do with this is put it in the box with the decals, because you're not going to use this. You ain't going to need it for a few episodes. So we'll put that back in the box where it's nice and safe. Put the box down there on top of the sweetie tub. Right. Save that bag though. Keep it away from small children and idiots like me. Right, so we've got in this one, we've got 3 sprues. And having a look at it, it's actually very nicely moulded. The thing with these new tooled Airfix kits are they're actually very, very good. They have upped the game considerably in the last few years. So we've got 3 sprues. We've got one with the upper part of the wings. We've got one with the wings and the 2 pilots and lots of tiny little bits, including parts of seats and wheels and other such delights. And the other one has the main aircraft body and landing gear and the instrument panel. Now you'll find on some of these, this one is very flat. Let's get the pointy stick and my big old fat fingers out in the way. This one's actually very flat. Sometimes you'll get them where they've got all the clocks and dials are moulded in. Okay. Now this one is done like that, so on the decal sheet you'll have a decal with the instrument panel. Some of them, you don't get that. You'll get just the relief embossed into it, and then you've got to paint it individually. Or you'll have that and the decals, and that gives you the choice. Then you can either sand all that flat like this is and apply the decal, or you can paint it. Lots of people, when they get a lot more skilled and a lot better at painting little tiny details, sometimes opt to paint them. Now the biggest thing about aircraft kits is, and it's a bit of a bugbear, let me get one down and I'll show you what I mean. This one is probably dusty. It's very dusty and it's white, which doesn't probably, it's going to send the white balance crazy probably. Let's give him a bit of a dust off. Now this is one I built a long time ago. This is made by a company called Eduard, and it's what they call a Profi pack, and it has lots and lots and lots of photo etch, which is a sprue like this but made from brass and very, very thin and very, very tiny. You can get immense etched details, and it all goes inside the cockpit. The only problem is, once you built it, unless you get in there with a little tiny torch and a magnifying glass, you can't see it, which is a shame because they are beautifully detailed. And it's the same with lots and lots of aircraft. They'll have beautifully detailed cockpits, and then when you put the 2 halves of the cockpit together, or 2 halves of the fuselage together, you don't see it. But one of the things about model making is you know it's there, and that's what matters. It's your model kit and you know it's in there. Well, the models will know it's there. Right then, so let's have a look at the plastic again. Now it comes on a sprue or a runner, and it's injected moulded plastic. Now because this is a new tool, you don't get what we call flash, or you may get a tiny bit. Now what's flash? Flash is extra bits of plastic that will be right on the edge, and it happens with kits that have been made for years using the same moulds. Now let me explain how they make this stuff. It comes into the factory as plastic pellets. They look a bit like, how to explain it, what's the best way? Bran flake, not bran flakes, all bran. You've all seen what all bran looks like, haven't you? It's what the plastic comes like. It comes in different colours, but it looks like strips of all bran in a big bag. And they pour it into a machine and it heats it up and melts it. It goes through a machine that pumps it at very high pressure into a metal mould. Now the metal mould has it's got the reverse of this, a bit like a jelly mould, okay, of everything that's on that. Now they have 2 halves, clamp them together, and then there'll be an injection point or 2 in the mould. You connect it to the machine, the plastic gets pumped into it, and it instantly cools because it's metal, and then it gets pulled apart and slightly apart, and then air ejects that out. It just drops it out onto a conveyor belt and off it goes. It's called injection moulding. Now when the moulds get old, you get little tiny gaps where the 2 meet, where the 2 halves of the mould meet, and you'll get plastic because it's put in under pressure, you'll get plastic that leaks out, and that's what we call flash. It's very, very simple to remove. Right, so don't panic, it's very easy to remove, it's just a pain. Right then, so that's injection molded, that's how they make your kit. Alright, so let's put that on one side and look at the next bit. You might think this is the boring bit, it's not actually, it's quite interesting. You'll get on your instruction sheet, now the new Airfix ones are actually very, very nice instruction sheets now. You'll always get the blurb on the vehicle you're making, okay. You'll have what they call the assembly instruction icons, okay. When we get into the leaflet, you'll see these little tiny different figures, okay, different icons, and then just a quick reference, look back and see what it means, okay, on the sheet. So that's the next one. We get into the proper building, the buildings. Now, what Airfix have done now is they've highlighted the parts that you're working on, or what you need to be aware of. Right, they're very, very good instructions now. You'll have the part number, which, if I'm looking at this, will be so at the top of the page. I can't see it because the camera's in the way and dog meat's in the way. Can we see that? Right. We've got number one is inside the cockpit. So that's the cockpit floor, the rear firewall, that's the instrument panel, and the control sticks, the yokes. They'll have a part number, so that one will be B15. The number that isn't ringed with Airfix is the paint number. So if you look on your box, you've got the little paints with it. So that would be number 33, which is the matte black colour. It's really simple. Once somebody explains it to you, think, oh yeah, that's easy enough, isn't it? So that's your part numbers, that's your colour numbers. So we'll go along, and then we get to number 7 is the decal. Now the decal is in a square box, right, and that's number 1, which, remember what I said to you earlier, when it's got a flat instrument panel, so the decal lies flat on top of it. Brilliant. Now another thing with this kit is it's weighted. Now what do we mean by weighted? It's telling us to put 2.5 grams of weight in the front. Now that's because if you want to display it with the wheels down like it had landed and it was sat on an airfield, it wouldn't. It'd tip up because it's back heavy, so you've got to counterbalance. So always be aware of that little sign there, because if you don't do it and you build your kit and you've got to stand it down, it's just going to flop and the front end's going to go up in the air and it's going to sit on its tail. So we need to work out how we're going to work out 2.5 grams and where we're going to put it and what we're going to use. It's going to weigh 2.5 grams that you don't mind losing when it's glued inside the fuselage. Right then, so we get on to 10, 11. It's all very standard stuff. Now, another thing to watch out for. Back in the day, Airfix, well, most model companies used to provide a clear plastic stand. It was like a big plastic wedge with an arm that came off it, and your model sat on top of it. They don't supply them anymore because they cost money. So if you want to use one, you buy them separately, and you have to drill out the holes, the corresponding holes, to sit it on. We don't bother with that. I'm going to teach you how to do very, very simple and easy and very cheap dioramas using old CDs, DVD-Rs, damaged game CDs that you can't play anymore and don't use. We're going to start using them to make bases. That's what dog meat's sat on. Is actually sat on an old DVD-R that doesn't work. So we'll do all that later. What else are we getting into? Just the same general stuff. Put stuff, it's always highlighted, and then we get onto the fixing the canopies. And then we get a blank piece of paper. Now why have we got a blank bit of paper? It's actually very handy to make notes on. Okay, make notes of what you're doing when you're building your kits and how far you've got, because you won't build this in a day. Right? You might just finish it and put step 7, part 26 is the next thing you were going to do. Right? It's always a good idea to write it on there. Right then, so that's what you get in the box. So for £10, it's actually not bad at all. So that's the end of this video. Right, next time we'll talk about if you want to undercoat with primer, or to make it cheaper, I'll show you another way. Stay tuned, see you again, have fun, and don't watch me, just go and build something.